Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. What we're going to be doing now is hosting our student arts panel, answering your questions that you have surrounding the life of a student involved with the arts here at Northwestern. So what we'll first start with is introductions. My name, for those of you who are wondering, is Drew Hazen. I am a recent double alum of the university. I just completed my master's degree with the class of 2020 in communication sciences and disorders, but I'm also an alum as an undergraduate where I graduated with the class of 2018, studying human communication sciences, and I also took classes and received a certificate in the comedy arts module offered through our School of Communication. We're very excited to answer your questions, but why don't I let the panelists introduce themselves and share a little bit more about their experiences. Kandise, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit to start?
Hi there, everyone. Like Drew, I also am a recent graduate of Northwestern. I graduated on the dual degree track with a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing and a Bachelor of Music and Opera Performance in our Beaton School of Music. And during my time on campus, I served as a senior admissions counselor and a tour guide coordinator. And one of my favorite things that I was a part of during my time on campus is that for my voice degree, I had to do a recital, and so I just completed a multimedia voice recital all about the Black woman experience, which I got to broadcast on Facebook Live. I'm going to popcorn it over to Tricia.
Hi everyone, my name is Tricia. I am a rising fourth year student at Northwestern from Hinsdale, Illinois, which is a western suburb of Chicago. In the classroom, I study civil engineering on our McCormick School of Engineering and Applied Science, but outside the classroom, I sing a cappella with the Northwestern Undertones. And with that, I'm going to pass it on over to Samara.
Hello, I'm Samara, calling in from San Francisco, California. I am a rising third year as a theater major here at Northwestern, but when I'm not in the classroom or on stage, you can find me doing photography for Northwestern's College Emmy Award-winning late night show, The Blackout.
And those are our panelists. We hope that you're excited to hear about their experiences. As you can see, there's quite a spread in terms of involvements, and obviously there's many different ways a student can pursue the arts at Northwestern. What we'd love, and just as a reminder, we're answering your questions, so feel free to send those questions down below to us so that we can get those answered during our panel today. So go ahead and fire off those questions. To start, an important starting point would be learning just about what it's like as a student to be academically involved in the arts on campus. So why don't we start heading back to Samara with your experience in theater. Why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about that for all of our listeners?
Yeah, the theater program at Northwestern is really the reason why I joined. Obviously, I'm a theater major, but what I really love about it is that it's a conservatory level training without the pressure of a conservatory. That's really what drew me to it. I am in the acting sequence. There's 3 sequences: acting, playwriting, and technical, but I am open to taking classes in any of them. There's no restrictions depending on which sequence you choose. And it's just a very fun and diverse way to get to know all factions of theater while still getting your really rigorous training in your preferred field. I also do a lot of directing. I would love to be a director post-graduation. And though that's not an actual sequence you can take, there's still classes and opportunities. I love working with the MFAs. They are a big part of our program as well, and super huge connections to Chicago through them as well. So it's a little bit about our program.
Great, thank you so much for that intro. I'd love to pass it back to Kandise then to share a little bit more about the music experience on campus. So go ahead and start with that.
Definitely. So as I mentioned before, I was a student in the Beaton School of Music, and there's kind of 2 main tracks that you can pursue if you decide to have a major in Beaton, and there are your performance majors and your non-performance majors. So performance majors include jazz studies, the voice department that I had, piano, pretty much anything you play or perform. And then on the non-performance side in the Beaton School of Music, there's things like musicology, music technology, and music theory. And so we all take the same conservatory level introduction classes of music theory and aural skills. It's just that for those performance majors, there's more ensembles that are required for our majors, and then also more theory classes that are required for the non-performance majors. And then from there, I know there's a lot of questions about, since I am a dual degree student, talking about ways of double majoring in music or having a dual degree in music. And the easiest way to describe that is that for a double major, you'll have one home school of our 6 undergraduate schools, and you'll have one piece of paper when you graduate with 2 lines on it of specialization. So say if you want to be a voice major with a double major in math, you'll have your home school in the Beaton School of Music having your voice major classes, taking those theory and oral skills classes, in addition to taking your mathematics courses in the College of Arts and Sciences. The double major can typically be completed in 4 years very easily. If you think that you want to have maybe more in-depth experience with both of your areas of specialization, you can pursue a dual degree, and that typically takes 5 years to complete. So at the end of your 5 years, like me, you'll end up with 2 separate degrees, each with their own line of specialization. The biggest difference with that is that if you are a dual degree student, is that you fill out not only the major requirements for both of your specializations, but also the graduation requirements for each of your respective home schools. So just to give you a little bit of my experience, I did the voice major requirements in the Beaton School of Music, like taking ensemble classes, as well as my creative writing English courses in the College of Arts and Sciences. But in addition to both of those major classes, I also had to do the graduation requirements of theory and oral skills in the Beaton School of Music and first year seminars in the College of Arts and Sciences. And that's just a little overview about the Beaton School of Music.
Thank you so much for that explanation. What I'd like to do now before we take more questions is we have another panelist who's joining us who wasn't able to join us right at the start due to some technical difficulties. So I want to make sure that he's able to introduce himself. Henry, would you want to share a little bit?
Hi, thank you, Drew. Yes, my name is Henry, and I'm a recent graduate of Northwestern. I am really interested in theater education, so I studied theater and education, learning sciences specifically, but I'm very involved in theater for young audiences at Northwestern, as well as some of the musical theater opportunities available to non-majors. So I'm really excited to be joining y'all today.
We're very excited to have you, Henry, so thank you for joining us. And we heard a little bit from Samara and Kandise about what the academic experience is like for a student that's majoring in an arts-focused pursuit. However, there are a lot of opportunities for students that are non-majors as well in terms of extracurricular involvement. I'd love to hear from Tricia to hear what that's like for students on campus.
Totally, yeah. So I study civil engineering again, which is so far away from the arts. I remember touring Northwestern, and my tour guide was actually an engineer who sang a cappella. And that to me was like the first testament that this was going to be a school where I was able to be involved with the extracurricular arts, even though I was a non-major. And the second I stepped foot on this campus, I could tell that was true. So I'm in an a cappella group. We have 14 on campus. That's already a testament as to how much extracurricular opportunity there is in the arts. One thing I do want to emphasize with that is that my group is half theater and music majors and half non-majors. It really is a normal thing to be involved with the arts extracurricularly. Not only do we have a cappella, but if you're interested in music, you can be in the marching band, you can be in a non-major concert band, orchestra, chorus, anything along those lines. Actually, in the marching band, the most common major is engineering. So one thing I always want to emphasize when it comes to Northwestern's take on the arts is you don't have to be a major in it. You can totally dip your toes into it. It's accepted, it's encouraged, it's promoted. So not only is it something that people do, but it's something that a ton of people do. Never once have I felt like it was a weird thing to do, to be an engineer and to be involved in the arts. Additionally, you can always try new things. No one's going to look at your resume in a theater audition and be like, you're an engineer. I have gone to generals, which is the auditions that you go to be in a main stage theater production or a student theater production, and nobody's made it weird. I have been cast in shows. I have choreographed for shows. Seriously, all you have to do is be excited about something and passionate about something, and it's so easy to get involved with it. And then also try classes. That's one thing that I've always loved, is being an extracurricular theater enthusiast. I just took intro to drawing this winter, and I'm not an artsy, like, actual art person, so that was a really fun thing. So really the story of being an extracurricular arts person is that no one's going to turn you away if you want to do it. There's so much opportunity, so encouraged, and everyone does it. So yeah, it's a little bit about that.
And that's so great to hear. One question that we have that I'd love to ask Kandise, given that it's musical in its origin. We have one student asking, do you have to audition to be an instrumentalist as a minor, specifically piano? Are students able to minor in piano if my major isn't in the performing arts? For any students out there who may be interested in pursuing an instrument, but not at the level of a major, what's that experience like?
Sure thing. So actually in the Beaton School of Music, we don't offer minors for the performance majors. That's just because it's so many credits that you would end up actually taking a major instead of having a full minor. But there's lots of ways to pursuing a performance major without having a full major. One big way of doing that is by taking non-major lessons, and those are audition-based. Therefore, every discipline that we offer at Northwestern, so we have it for piano, also voice, guitar, and you're working with the full-time faculty members that are also teaching the music students here on campus. So that's a really great way to get access to that kind of experience. As well, like Tricia mentioned before, we have non-major ensembles. So we have our Philharmonia, which is an entirely non-major performance orchestra, as well as our Camerata Singers, which is a co-ed non-major singing ensemble. And these are great because these typically are students who say have been practicing with their primary instrument for 7 years or so, come to college, realize that they don't necessarily want to pursue it at the major level, but are still being able to be surrounded by musical comrades that have that same amount of not only musical talent, but also musical zeal.
Incredible. Thank you so much for that answer. This next question for Samara is for any students out there who are wondering, what's the connection and engagement that theater students have with the Evanston and Chicagoland performance community? Obviously, a great draw is the fact that we're so close to such a hub for performance. How do students find connection and get involved in those areas?
Totally. It was a big question I had coming in too. I am not someone who's particularly born into a family that has a lot of connections in the industry. No one in my family had done theater and art before. So I was really nervous about what my connections would be like when I graduated college. And Northwestern is the perfect place to find those kind of connections, especially if you haven't had them before. If you are an actor, Northwestern actively pushes students to go out and audition for Chicago theaters. I've had friends who have been in a chorus line at Porchlight. We have a friend who went to an audition her senior year at Northwestern. She got a few weeks off to go fly to New York and is now actually in San Francisco right now in the Hamilton cast, which is so cool. So really, they will let you do whatever you need to in order to make your professional light shine. For me, I hadn't had any really connections before, and Northwestern, through their MFA program, kind of pairs you in some of the classes. So my fundamentals of directing class was taught by an MFA student here at Northwestern. And she and I really got along, and I would often go visit her in office hours and get to know her. And so then when she got an opportunity over at Steppenwolf to direct a show, she asked me to join her in that project. And now I have a ton of connections at the biggest theater in Chicago, if not like a household name across the nation in terms of theater. So there really is a lot of connections through other students of various levels, but also your faculty is all actively performing and working. My acting teacher, David Catlin, is one of the founding members of Looking Glass Theater, which is an amazing, amazing theater. One of the other co-founders was David Schwimmer. Like, it's a big deal here in Chicago. And he often will pick students to go assistant direct for him or to help out and make those connections using him. Really, all the faculty is here because they love to teach and because they want to see you do great in this industry. And so all you have to do is ask, and you can land an interview or a coffee meeting or anything you want.
Really exciting to know that those opportunities are going to be available for our students. Would love to hear a very similar answer for students interested in music. So if Kandise, would you mind sharing just briefly what opportunities the Chicagoland and Evanston area has to offer for those students?
Yes, I'd say one thing off the bat is that Chicago loves Northwestern students and particularly Beaton students. So there's been many times when I was applying to things, whether it be an internship or for an audition, and just having Northwestern on my application allowed people to take me more seriously. And I think that starts from within the curriculum here at Northwestern. So there are a lot of performance opportunities that the Beanin ensembles have in Chicago. A few years back, my ensemble, the Beanin Contemporary Early Vocal Music Ensemble, or BCE for short, got to perform with the Chicago Opera Theater, which is one of the biggest opera production companies in the Chicagoland area. And we got to premiere a brand new opera working with full-time Chicago Opera Theater instrumentalists, being able to work with that new composer and having that real life experience of performing on a stage that the same professional people do. And as well, there's lots of different opportunities during the summer in particular. Some of the more popular ones are the Grant Park Music Festival, which is a giant outdoor festival. It typically happens every year, not this year for lots of obvious reasons. And I'd say in this chorus of roughly 300 people and orchestra of over 400 people, I'd say it's a good 25% of people are current Northwestern undergrads. And I think that's really great that within the Chicagoland and Evanston area, they're making sure that us undergrads have that opportunity from the jump so that we're able to use the music education that we're getting in the classroom and also being able to share it with the larger community.
Great to hear. Thank you, Kandise. We have some students that are curious about what dance can look like as an opportunity on campus. So I didn't know if Tricia, I know you mentioned you've had some experience with choreography. Do you want to share just a little bit about what that's looked like here on campus?
Totally. Yeah. So again, non-major. So as far as extracurricular opportunities go for dance, there are a ton of extracurricular dance groups that you can be a part of. If you're interested in more contemporary or lyrical or modern type of dance, there's a group called Graffiti, and they're all so talented. And again, you do not have to be a dance major to be a part of any of these groups. There's Fusion and Refresh, which are both hip hop dance groups. There's actually a huge dance show that goes on in the fall quarter called Refusion Shaka, which is a combination of Refresh, Fusion, and Boom Shaka, which are 3 different dance groups. Boom Shaka is the one I didn't mention. They're a rhythm dance group, so half of the group are drummers and then half of the group are dancers. It is truly one of the most popular events on campus. I have never seen the campus come together like so much for something that is so like not interesting, but like niche. And so I think that that was just something that surprised me right off the bat, is how talented and how involved people are with dance. And a ton of them, again, non-majors, a lot of them are dance majors. As far as choreography goes, I learned a lot about choreography and getting involved with choreography in student theater from my friend Tucker, who actually is like the main go-to choreography guy for student theater. And how I got involved with that was I essentially talked to one of my friends who was in the theater community, and I said, I really want to get involved with this. How can I? And she was actually music directing a show at the time. And then within the week, I was meeting with the director, talking about choreography opportunities on campus. So not only is there the choreography side of things, but again, there's a dance side of things. And obviously we have dance majors and dance minors. One thing that I always want to add is that rooms in the Wirt Center for the Performing Arts, you don't have to be a theater major or music major to rent those rooms out. I've often just gotten a studio room for myself to dance around in, have a dance party with friends. So as far as getting involved with dance on campus, yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it.
This next question is for Henry. If you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit about theater boards, what they are, how they function, and how students can get involved, and what opportunities they have for any students that are interested in theater.
So the Northwestern theater boards, there's a wide variety of them available, and you can get involved as early as your first year here on campus. They have board meetings that are open to anyone who wants to stop by and see the work that they do. And then you can kind of decide, maybe I want to work with Lipstick Theater, the feminist theater board, or maybe I want to work with Arts Alliance, which is a theater board, and their mission is about accessibility in theater. And really, I think that the boards make Northwestern theater so unique because everyone who is involved in the shows that are produced just about every weekend at Northwestern is probably also working with another theater board behind the scenes or doing some technical work. So the interconnectedness of the community is a really important part of being on a student theater board. And it's not just limited to theater majors. There are lots of people in the School of Education. I know a couple of engineers who are on theater boards as well. So very easy to become a part of that process.
That's great to hear. Up next, we're going to be hearing from Samara. We have some students who are asking what the theater community and culture is like here on campus. We'd love to hear that, but also if you could speak a little bit more broadly to just arts on campus and what those communities feel like as well. I know that's a lot to tackle, but just share your experience and your thoughts on that.
Absolutely, yeah. So I do a lot of theater. That's my major. That's my main interest. But I'm also really into film. It's something I'm always interested in branching out with, especially career-wise, as well as art theory and practice, which is the fine arts part of Northwestern. So I've dabbled in all three, and I can speak to all three, and really they do mesh well. The arts culture at Northwestern is very interconnected and very much dependent on each other. We have like the screen acting program is a mix of radio, television, film students and theater students working together to make films. But if you don't want to take a class, you can go sign up for a student film. Film majors are always throwing some sort of short film out for the rest of campus. Anyone from any major can interview to be a camera person, to hold a mic, to just be there and help out, to be a script supervisor, or anyone from any major can audition for any film on campus, but also any theater show on campus. We talked earlier a little bit about generals, and that is every single quarter there's one giant audition where you go in, you do your monologue once, and you sing your song once for every person that is looking to put on a show that upcoming quarter. And anyone from any major, any school can go to that audition and land a role. The same thing for behind the scenes. I am doing a show this upcoming quarter, and I have an engineer and my sound designer is an engineer, my technical director is an engineer, my set designer is a dual degree student. It's actually mostly students who are in STEM majors who are on my show, simply because we're all looking for that creative outlet, and they have the skills and the passion to do this job. So, you know, they're the best person for it. Your major does not define you at all when it comes to these interviews. So that is what I think really makes the Northwestern arts community in all three sects kind of stand out. Of course, art classes are counted as humanities classes. They're in the Weinberg School, so any student can take those as well as participate in their gallery viewings.
Nice to know that this prospective students will be entering a great community that's going to have a lot of diversity, but also a lot of opportunities for the students wanting to get involved. This next question for Kandise is having some students ask about creative writing, one of the arts that we haven't really discussed too much yet. Would you want to speak a little bit more about that and what that looks like for students on campus?
Yeah, and the first thing I want to point out is that there's lots of different ways to pursue creative writing here at Northwestern. There's the path that I took, which is the creative writing major in the College of Arts and Sciences. That's actually a major that you apply into once you're already a Northwestern student. The earliest you can apply is the spring quarter of your second year. And in order to apply, all you need to have taken are 3 of the introductory reading writing courses. And you can use the final projects or final papers that you've created for that course to apply for either the fiction, nonfiction, or poetry sequences. You can be into those as either a major or a minor. And once you're enrolled in the creative writing, either major or minor, you get enrolled in the creative writing sequence so that you're working with a cohort of 10 to 12 students with the same 2 faculty members for the entirety of a year. And at the end of that, you end with anywhere between 75 pages to 150 pages of writing. I ended up with around 80 pages of an essay collection. So there's that area. There's also screenwriting and creative writing for media, which is available in our School of Communications. And that's also an amazing opportunity for people who want to write for either digital mediums or writing for film and those kinds of ways. And there's also our Medill School of Journalism. Even though that the only major offered in our Medill School of Journalism is journalism, there's lots of amazing classes in there about storytelling, magazine pitching. And so if you know that you want to possibly pursue work that's going to be published in print, either taking classes or majoring in the Medill School of Journalism is also a really great opportunity for aspiring writers.
Thank you so much, Kandise. It's great to know that there's just all those opportunities for anyone, depending on what your interest is in the arts. So unfortunately, we are running a little bit short on time. What we'd love to do as we're wrapping up is if one of our questions that we ask in our application when applying to Northwestern is, why Northwestern? Why this institution over anywhere else? So what I'd love to hear from all of our panelists is just a really brief explanation of their why Northwestern, what makes this place home for you. So if we could start with Samara and then just popcorn back and forth between each other, it'd be great to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I chose Northwestern because I felt like I was at the beginning of my arts journey and I still had a long way to go. I knew that I wanted to go into the arts for my career, but I felt like I didn't have the network to do so, and I felt like I still had a lot of skills to gain, as well as being unsure if the arts was the only thing I wanted to do. Northwestern has allowed me to explore all sorts of majors in and out of the arts, and with the liberal arts program, I still get that conservatory style training while being able to explore all my interests. As well, I get to take part in all sorts of facets of my interests through their clubs. There's over 500, and each one of them is so welcoming and so diverse. And so that's why I was really excited about Northwestern. I will pop it over to Tricia.
Thank you, Samara. So obviously we've hit this nail a lot over this panel, but I do want to emphasize this culture of being able to dip your toes into more than one thing and not having the limits of your major. So Northwestern is a place that I've truly been able to address every single part of my identity. And I knew that I wanted to study engineering. That was a huge passion of mine, but I loved being able to go to choir and be able to go to musical rehearsal at the end of the day, and to be at a place where it is so accepted and promoted to do that was really important for me. So every single day I'm at Northwestern, I am just grateful that I am at an institution that really values that. I will popcorn it over to Kandise.
For me as a recent graduate, I think that the biggest takeaway for me of my time at Northwestern, and I think why I ultimately applied, is because of the people. Literally during this information session, I've had 2 people from my a cappella group texting me, asking me when can we catch up, or whether it's talking when I lived on or just off campus with an aspiring director, an aspiring music educator, and aspiring actress. For the 3 of us being able to sit down at our dinner table and just talk about the things that we were passionate in doing, and knowing that no matter what our discipline our friends are in, that we're still just as engaged and interested as what everyone else is doing, is something that has made my college experience phenomenal. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Henry to take us home.
Thanks, Kandise. I was really excited about Northwestern's program because I knew that I could get my license to teach drama in Illinois, and at the same time have opportunities to collaborate with other students at Northwestern interested in children's theater that didn't necessarily study it. Griffin's Tale is about half theater majors, and then our director is a chemical engineering major. So you never know who's going to be collaborating with you. And I think that it's just really special to get to work with other people who really take the work and the craft seriously without taking themselves too seriously. And my experience with former theater work and arts work is sometimes artists carry big egos, but everyone just checks that out at the door at Northwestern. So I think the collaboration piece is really what made Northwestern stick out to me. Thank you. So back to Drew.
Thank you so much to all of our panelists, and thank you to all the people that are tuning in to here for our arts panel today. That is all the time we have today, but as we are saying our goodbyes, I just want to make sure that for any of us that have not done so yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep up with all the content that we're sharing remotely. There's some great stuff to check out, some great content such as our student performance showcase, as well as art tours that we have or we're able to do for campus. And as well, if you want to head to our admissions page, we have additional information sessions and student panels that you can sign up for and register for. And also for any students who are wanting more specific information, whether it's about the School of Communication or the Beanan School of Music, know that our admission office also offers specific information sessions for those as well. So wanting to set you up for success and make sure you have all that information Wherever you're tuning in from, we hope that you're taking care of yourselves, that you are doing your best to be happy and healthy during these unprecedented times. But thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us tonight. So thank you so much. And as always, go Cats.